Hello and welcome to day 2 of our 21-day yoga challenge. Today for day 2, our posture today is going to be Warrior 2 and its complement, which is triangle posture. So to begin, we will start in mountain, just like we did on day 1, and find that firm foundation that you've already built, connecting to your feet, your knees, finding a neutral pelvis, strong abdominals, stability through the spine, and a nice long neck. From here, we're going to pass back through Warrior 1. So we'll keep the right foot forward and just take a moderate size step back. Remember from our breakdown of Warrior 1 that we should have landed with our feet hip-width distance apart. So if you start out with feet hip-width distance apart, you're going to step back right along that same line, and you'll remain with your feet hip-width distance apart. Now that's an important piece of Warrior 1. Warrior 2 is a little bit different. When I broke down Warrior 1, I said you want to imagine that you're standing on some narrow train tracks rather than a tightrope. But in Warrior 2, it is okay to imagine that you're lined up along a tightrope. And it is okay to turn your back foot out towards the side of your mat. So it's a longer stance posture. You're going to be using up more of your mat in Warrior 2 than you did in Warrior 1. So just to show that, I'll start in mountain, and you can do this right along with me. Keep the right foot forward and take that moderate step back to Warrior 1. Then turn your back toes out. We're externally rotating that back hip and edging the back foot backward a little bit. Now when I look down, my front heel is aligned with about the middle of my back foot. And if that doesn't feel comfortable to you, it's okay to be more towards those train track feet alignment. It's also okay to turn your toes slightly forward, especially if you find that your front knee is pitching in. That might mean that you're having a little trouble staying this externally rotated. So as I often say, we want to make the posture fit your body rather than trying to make your body fit into some preconceived notion of what you think the posture is supposed to look like. So make the pose fit your body rather than making your body fit the pose. But just the traditional guidelines are more or less align your front heel with your back arch and turn your toes towards the side of the mat, the toes of your back foot. Then we take our arms up into a T shape, and there you are in Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana Devi. And of course, we're going to turn the head and look forward. So that's Warrior 2. A few things that I often see in this posture are, we've already gone over the foot alignment, but sometimes people will roll onto their big toe side of the back foot, and that can be a sign maybe that your stance is a little too long. So you can edge your back foot in until you feel like you can really press down into the lateral edge of your foot. The knee knocking inward, that again is a sign that you might be over stretched here. So just turning your toes forward a little bit so it feels a little more like a Warrior 1.5 instead of a Warrior 2 is a great idea. Your front knee passing your toes. That's a sign to either unbend your front knee a little bit, or if you want that deep leg bend challenge, back your back foot up a little bit so that you come back to your joints stacked, knee over ankle. Sometimes people tend to sort of lunge forward in their upper body. Not so often do people really go backwards. I tend to see people reaching forward more often. So just make sure your torso is really stacked over your pelvis. And then another thing that I often see here is a pelvis that's spilling forward, anterior pelvic tilt, and that leads to compression and swaying in the lumbar spine. So, just like we talked about in mountain, bring your pelvis back to neutral. That bowl is upright, and that should help you to just connect to your strong core and protect the lower back. So let's try putting this into practice, and we'll go through it all on the other side. So this time, come to your mountain posture and keep your left foot forward. Take a breath. And then we'll step back with the right foot and find warrior one. Taking a pause, always pausing, settling in before moving ahead. And then we'll back the back foot up, externally rotate the hip so that your toes face about to the side of your mat. Bring your arms out into a T, and you're in warrior two. When you're ready to come out, you can bring your hands back to your hips just for a little bit of awareness as we reverse engineer this. Notice that your pelvis is oriented towards the side of your mat, and your belly is facing that way too. Then as you make that little step and pivot into warrior one, your pelvis is oriented towards the front of your mat again, and your belly is as well. And that gets you ready to just step forward into mountain, back into this hip squared position. So let's take a breath. And then we'll see how we can put this together in a little flow. We'll keep the right foot at the front of the mat and step the left leg back into warrior one. Take a breath. Then turn the back toes out and back your back foot up a little bit, finding warrior two. Make sure your front knee is deeply bent and your back leg is straight and strong. And then from here, we're just going to reach up and pivot so that both feet are facing the long end of your mat. The arms are reaching up in extended mountain. Then you can pivot, and you're all set up for warrior two facing the other side of your mat. Take a few breaths there, settling in. And then we'll start to flow between the two, moving at a 1 breath per movement rhythm. So we'll inhale and turn the toes towards the side of the mat, and exhale back to warrior two. Breathe in, face the side. Breathe out, warrior two. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We'll do one more. And then just hold. Breathe. Now, when we went over warrior one, I showed you how that posture provides a really great setup to automatically go into pyramid because our feet and our legs are pretty much in the same spot. The same can be said for warrior two as it relates to triangle posture. So right from here, from warrior two, all that I need to do to get ready for triangle is straighten my front leg, take a little reach forward, and then tip down. So this is triangle, Trikonasana. And you can see this really nice option, and hopefully you're joining me in it, of just holding gently onto my front shin. You can feel free to look down towards that front shin, or look out straight in front of you, or for a little balance challenge, look up at your top arm. Any of those are fine. You just want to avoid drooping the head like that. Keep your neck long. When you're ready, slide up, return to your warrior two, and then we'll try that triangle posture with the other side. So come back to your long edge of your mat, turn back to your warrior two, facing the original front. And another great option I love to try for triangle is to use a block. So if you do have a block handy, grab that for this side and place it right inside of your front foot. Then we'll straighten the leg, take that little reach forward, and come down either to the shin, like we did before, or to your block. And remember that your block has 3 heights. So see which one feels right for you today. And I often tell people in triangle, there's nothing magical about getting to the floor. A lot of people think the floor is the goal, and then they sort of collapse in with the top shoulder and end up turning belly down. When in fact, this is an open twist. So I encourage people to imagine that someone is holding your top wrist and giving you a little pull upward. So you feel light on your bottom hand and strong through your torso. When you feel like you've had enough on this side, slowly rise up and return to your warrior two. Take a breath. I'm going to move this out of the way so I can show you a little flow. We'll reach up, bring both feet to parallel, facing the long edge of your mat, and then turn towards the back of your mat into warrior two. Straighten your front leg, reach out, and come down to your triangle. If you want a little extra challenge, open both hands instead of grabbing your shin or the block. Then rise back up, return to your warrior two, back to face the long edge of your mat, turn the other way, straighten, reach, and imagine that you're going right into a toaster here, or between 2 panes of glass for your triangle. Come back to warrior two, reach up, warrior two, other direction, straighten, reach, come to Trikonasana, triangle, and come back, warrior two, all the way up, back to warrior two, and then bring your hands to your hips. Take a small step forward with your back foot, reorienting so that your hips are facing forward, your pelvis is oriented forward, and your belly button is facing forward. And then step all the way to the top of your mat into mountain posture, right where we began. So that is our practice of warrior two and triangle posture. Notice how you feel. And I hope that you will join me tomorrow for, you guessed it, warrior three. Thank you for practicing with me, and have a beautiful day or a good night. Namaste.